Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2026 Porsche Macan Electric 4. Below me are two electric motors powering this all-electric SUV. Now, I'm super excited to be driving this Macan EV because it is new for Porsche, and this is kind of Porsche's direction in which they're taking towards the future. They're looking towards electrification. We saw this with the Taycan. Now we're seeing it with the Macan, and we'll soon see it with the Cayenne. So we're going to see how their surprisingly most affordable EV pans out. But if you'd like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. Last but not least, huge thank you to Porsche of Louisville for letting me borrow this Macan EV here in Kentucky. If you'd like to browse their inventory, you can do so down in the description below, but we'll talk a little bit more about them towards the end of the video. But let's get back to the all-electric drivetrain. Well, they still make the gasoline-powered Macan. It's just called the Macan. They have the Macan S, the Macan Turbo, GTS. All of those still exist. It cohabitates with the Macan EV. However, for the first time, I think, at least for me, the Macan gains horsepower every single trim level. Every single trim level of the Macan EV has a different horsepower number. So let's talk about that now. The base Macan EV, which is a single motor, gets 355 horsepower, already starting off super strong. Then the 4, which is this car, this makes 402 horsepower, a nearly 50 horsepower jump. Then the 4S makes 509, which is a 107 horsepower jump. Then to the GTS, that gets 563 horsepower. And then the Turbo makes 630. So by the top range of the Macan EV, you're making nearly double of what the base makes. So you can really pick your performance level at any level of the Macan EV. Now, at a full charge, I'm getting about 280 miles. At least that's what the gauge is telling me. That's a pretty decent enough number. I normally look for around 300 and above, but I would imagine someone driving or owning this car either A, owns something else alongside of it, or B, they're not doing big, long cross-country road trips in a Macan EV. That's not really why you buy this. So for around town, going to the mall, going shopping, going to the country club, I think 280 is fine enough. How does it feel to drive the Macan EV? Well, one of the big benefits of EVs is that they can drive kind of however you want them to drive. I hate to say it, but like, it does just drive like an EV. Most EVs drive in a similar way, but around town they're quiet, they're smooth, and there's nothing really to it. Once you've driven one, you've kind of driven them all. However, let's see what this power will do. We're gonna put it into sport, and I don't know if you could see on the door, the light's actually changing color. Sport mode, here we go. Oh. A couple of things. First of all, it's quick. It's not barn burning, it's not blistering, I'm not shaking in my boots. But it does have some fake noise that does help out. It sort of helps out that just whatever's missing from an EV. I like when they make noises. It sounds like they're revving up, revving down, things like that. It's quick enough. It's brisk enough. You have to remember that this is really replacing just average Macans, and so this isn't the turbo model. So just a normal everyday little SUV with over 400 horsepower, that is well enough. The old Macan GTS was making like high 400s. So other than that, visibility is fine. Ride quality is good. No complaints. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a completely digital dashboard. I do like this look. I think it functions very, very well. And we could cycle through a couple different views here. You could pull up a map and different information and things like that. I like that a lot. On the steering wheel on the left, we do have some selector dials, voice commands, and favorite button. And off to the right, we have the selector for the gauge cluster screen, go back phone options, as well as to the bottom right, we have our drive modes for normal, off-road, and sport. Off to the left, we do have a climate control vent, as well as the ignition power button. Porsche has done this for decades and decades and decades, and it's cool to see it also in their EV products. Down below, we have our headlight switches. Moving out of the door, we have lock and unlock, as well as our 3 memory seat options. And down below, we have power mirrors, power windows, trunk, and frunk, which we'll talk about later on. Moving into the center, we get our infotainment display. I like the size of this a lot. It's not dominating the interior. I don't feel like the infotainment has a chokehold on me when I'm just trying to find the nearest Bojangles. This is very, very nice. I think this is the perfect size for an infotainment. We have some very fun apps in there. It's colorful enough, has really good refresh rate. It's clear. Overall, I think this is an absolute win. We have a bunch of different drive modes we can select. We could turn on and off our electric sound. We could put the spoiler up and down. We also do get a passenger screen. This is very familiar now with a lot of Audi products, so of course Porsche will do that as well. And it uses the same infotainment, the same UI experience, and it's clear, it's easy to read, and I like it a lot. Then we do have our hazard switch, traction control off, surrounded by 2 climate control vents. We have a wireless charger in the center, and then we have our climate controls. I think this is actually laid out really, really well. We have heated and ventilated seats, of course. We can do a climate menu and bring that up on the screen. However, you don't need that. You don't need to rely on a climate screen. You have dual zone climate, dual fan speed, very, very nice. Your passenger can have a different fan speed than you, and that's a huge game changer. But I think it's laid out really well. It's not what the Cayenne used to do 10 years ago where it had 1.5 million buttons. This is simple, it's clear, and it's easy to use. I like that a lot. Then we do have cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the Porsche Macan EV, and it happily passes the big friggin' bottle test. There you go. We also get a center console in the seats. The seats are heated and ventilated, power and memory, and they are comfortable. You know, it is a very nice, comfortable experience in here that I'm really, really enjoying. I also like the beige interior. They sell it with black interior as well, but I think beige looks nice and sort of reinforces that more luxurious look that I'm really usually going for when I'm driving a Porsche. Porsches are elevated experiences, and I like when the materials inside of them reflect that. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats. So let's go do a back seat review. All right. Getting in the back of the Macan Electric. Getting our 2 feet in here. Close it up. And I have to say I'm happily impressed. With it being the smallest Porsche, my knees are not hitting the seat in front of me, and my head's not hitting the ceiling. I'm actually really comfortable back here. I could ride back here for a long period of time and not really think too much of it, which is a great, great thing for, again, this size of car. This is not a very big car, but it doesn't make you feel like it's a small car from the back, which is nice. Down below here, we do have 2 climate vents. We do have our own climate controls as well. Very, very nice to see that. Power windows and things of the such. We have a light and whatnot, but other than that, it's not feature heavy, but it is comfortable. We can come in here. We do get a center console with 2 cup holders found down below. So very, very nice to see all of that. This is the back seat of the Macan Electric 4. The name's a little anticlimactic. Porsche Macan Electric 4. Let's hop into the back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, as well as the frunk in the Macan Electric. All right, coming around the back, we do have a button right here next to the backup camera, and it is a power-operated tailgate. Once we are back here, nothing really too crazy or special. We can put down the second row of seats. We can raise and lower the vehicle to help loading and unloading be easier. Nothing over there, and we have a 12-volt outlet hidden way up over there. So pretty basic stuff. We can come under here as well. We do get a Bose system, but it doesn't look like we get a spare tire here for the Macan Electric. We can either lock it and close it or just close it. Again, power operated right back down. Very nice and smooth, but what I would expect out of a $100,000 car. Now on the key fob, we do have a frunk release as well, and oh, it pops up. Kind of a party trick there. I was not expecting it to just go anywhere. All right, so once we are up here, we have like battery terminals and a little bit of storage. This is very cool to me because this, like for a second, I was like, oh yeah, obviously it's a Porsche. 911, they have, you know, front storages. This like reminds me of all of like the 996s and 997s that I've driven and things like that. So this is very, very Porsche to me. Is this a ton of space? No, but if you have an at-home charger, leave it up here. You got some blankets in case it's a chilly night and your battery dies, leave them up here. But other than that, not too crazy. Then we just put it back down. Nope. Then you just put it back down. Okay. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I'm not completely sold on the Macan electric. I think it's fine. I don't think it's outwardly very, very pretty. I do think that they differentiate it enough from the standard Macan that when you see them in traffic, you can kind of figure out what's what. I'm glad that they didn't just shove an EV drivetrain into the standard Macan. They made it its own individual product, although sharing the name. Maybe one day we'll see them diverge. Who knows? Also, when you go up to the turbo model, I think it looks drastically better. So I'm a bigger fan of the turbo models just in terms of aesthetics, but that's not the only game in town. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the Macan electric for the very first time? Well, this has been a very, very positive experience. I think it's good as what it sets out to do. Meaning, this isn't a round town car. If you own a Porsche 911 or a Porsche Cayman, a GT4, whatever it is, and you need the daily driver to go to the store, to go to your friend's house when it's snowing or raining or things like that, you have the weekend toy. You don't need something that's going to boil your blood and tickle your toes throughout the week. That's what this car is great at. It's an appliance car, but it's still from a special manufacturer. Porsche is very, very special, and you get to wear that Porsche badge proudly. You get to experience the Porsche. You can have an all Porsche garage, which to a lot of people means a lot. If you have a fun weekend 996, get one of these for the weekdays, man. Like, it is just a perfect yin to the yang of owning an old air-cooled and having something modern and fresh. If you have a Charger at home, this is going to be a blissful, blissful experience. I love driving it. I love being in it. This is just so wonderful. Until you see the price tag. This is a wonderful experience, but this is not a over $100,000 experience. It just isn't. The features in here are great. It's comfortable, it's smooth and all of that, but for $100,000, I'm not sure I have a whole lot to brag about at the kitchen table. And my barometer is the fact that if I spend $100K, I'm gonna have t-shirts of it, posters of it, and I'm gonna brag at every parent-teacher conference that I drive X, Y, or Z because I paid 6 figures for it. The fact that this is a 6-figure car doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I can't see anyone willingly buying this over other vehicles. I just got out of the Audi A8. Sure, that was $4,000 more expensive, but $4,000 spread over payments is nothing, and that had a turbo V6 that had massage seats and an incredible executive level experience in the back. The suspension was so supple and lovely. This, although it's a good car, I don't want it to sound like I don't like it. I really, really like this car, but to say that it's worthy of $103,000, that's where you start to lose me a little bit. When these are on the secondhand market and you can pick one up for 50, 60, 70,000, this is going to be a great car for that price tag in the luxury space. But up above 100, I personally just don't see it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Porsche of Louisville for letting me borrow their Macan EV. If you're thinking about a Macan EV or a Taycan or a 911 or a Cayman or a Cayenne, which I also reviewed a Cayenne from them, so check that video out. Please check out Porsche of Louisville. They have been absolutely wonderful to work with. And if you want to get that beautiful Porsche badge in your driveway, please reach out to them with the link down in the description below. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.